Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. Now, I need your help. I need you to go to my GoFundMe campaign. I'm going to put a link in the description box below because I need you to help donate to my campaign so I can start making these shows full time instead of part time. Alright. Okay, I got a news story for you, and it's about how the American Red Cross is full of problems. Okay, I want to put context into this story because some of it is from a few years ago. Because, okay, a few years ago during the Haitian earthquake back in 2010, the Red Cross spent 25% of donations on their own internal expenses. So, of course, that's highly unethical, and that's just showing corruption within just a charity organization, and that really creates problems for, of course, the most vulnerable and the poorest of us, because we're relying on the government and charitable organizations to help relieve some of the property loss, or a lot of the property loss, because worst case scenario, you're poor and you lose your house and you lose all your belongings, and you need these organizations to rebuild your house or provide you with housing somewhere else, and hopefully at least half of some of your belongings or money, so you could repurchase half of the belongings you had before, so you could just rebuild your life and go back to having a normal life, that kind of thing. But of course, when charities don't do that and they're putting a lot of money in their pockets, it's just using disasters to enrich themselves instead of helping and empowering people that have gone through big losses, especially if their family members happen to die or happen to get severely injured, because those things happen, especially in poor nations where the infrastructure is not as strong as it is in the wealthier nations. But this is from the NPR.org. Okay, the American Red Cross spent a quarter of the money people donate after the 2010 Haiti earthquake, or almost $125 million, on its own internal expenses, far more than the charity previously had disclosed, according to a report released Thursday by Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. But this article's from June of last year, June of 2016. The report also says the charity's top officials stonewalled congressional investigators and released incomplete information about its Haiti program to the public. It concludes there are substantial and fundamental concerns about the Red Cross as an organization. The report follows a nearly year-long investigation by the Iowa Republican and his staff, launched after coverage by NPR and ProPublica of the Red Cross's Haiti response. The venerated charity raised nearly $500 million after the disaster, more than any other nonprofit, but an ambitious plan to build housing resulted in just 6 permanent homes, NPR and ProPublica found. Now, there's other findings in the report. The charity insisted to congressional investigators that $70 million spent on program expenses included funds to oversee and evaluate its Haiti programs. But they found that the charity is unable to provide any financial evidence that oversight activities occurred. The report shows the organization did not provide everything requested, contrary to the McGovern's multiple claims that it did. Okay, the Red Cross had kept the charity's own internal investigations and ethics unit severely undermanned and underfunded, so they appear to be reluctant to support the very unit that is designed to police wrongdoing within the organization. The Red Cross, including McGovern, which is the CEO and the president of Red Cross, repeatedly has told the public that all but 9% of donations spent go to humanitarian programs. Grassley's office found that 25% of donations sent to Haiti, or nearly $125 million, were spent on fundraising and management. A contingency fund in the catch-call category the Red Cross calls program expenses. The Red Cross sent the bulk of the remaining donating money to other nonprofits to do the work on the ground. Those other non-profits then took their own cuts, as high as 11% for their own expenses. Most important thing from the report is an unwillingness to level with the people exactly where the money went. There's too many questions in regard to how the money was spent in Haiti. It gives me cause to wonder about the money being donated for other natural disasters, like the current one right now. Okay, I also got an article from ProPublica.org, and it talks about a lot of the same things, but it also talks about other situations that were going on with the Red Cross. Because ProPublica and NPR recently reported that Red Cross officials on the ground after Superstorm Sandy saw disaster relief resources diverted for public relations purposes. The charity has also been facing deficits and layoffs. As a result, McGovern has been pushing to increase the Red Cross's annual fundraising. And then it does talk about how McGovern, the CEO, and other high-ranking officials keep claiming that 91% of their donations go to disaster relief and helping people, and that's false. That is because of the unusual structure of the Red Cross. Most of what the Red Cross does is take donated blood and sell it to healthcare providers. Of the more than $3 billion that the Red Cross spent last year, 2/3 were spent not on disaster relief, but rather on the group's blood business. Charity spent $2.2 billion on the blood business, most of which went to employee wages and benefits. By contrast, the charity spent $467 million, or 14% of total spending, on its famous domestic disaster response programs, including the expensive Sandy relief effort. Nonprofit experts say that in combining the blood business spending with disaster relief spending, Red Cross is painting a confusing picture of its operations for donors. It probably has the effect of making the Red Cross look better than it actually is, said Jack Siegel. If the Red Cross splits its blood business from the rest of the charity, their ratios would look worse, so they don't want to do that, says Borochoff of Charity Watch. Now here's another problem with the American Red Cross is that they're misleading about how many people they serve food after or during some of these natural disasters. Because right here, the Red Cross says that it served 17.5 million meals of snacks during the Sandy relief effort, and used that number in response to increase from New York State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. Multiple current and former staffers and volunteers raised questions about the accuracy of those numbers. During major disasters, the Red Cross often counts meals that are prepared as meals served, according to 11 people ProPublica spoke with. The difference is important because large volumes of meals that are prepared are ultimately not served but rather thrown out because of poor planning and the chaotic nature of disasters. One former staffer from a chapter in Massachusetts says, the idea that the number are based on people getting the meals is ludicrous, adding that there is no mechanism to report how much is actually served. Then the Red Cross puts a statement as they have forms that volunteers need to fill out to track them. Here's a quote from one of the workers. Sandy was different, he says. I was only asked how many meals are prepared each day, so I began to think that headquarters was not interested in the actual meal count. He says that in the early days of Sandy, the wasted meals amounted to 30%. That's a ton of wastage right there. Others were even more blunt. They just want to know how many meals are made. Whether they make is the number that gets reported, says an official involved in the Sandy effort to feed, house, and shelter people. This official said this has been business normal for years. So they don't give a shit about wasting food. They don't give a shit about actually making sure that they're providing food and shelter for people. They just want to create a good number or just make something to give a good statement for the public, so the people say, you know what, the Red Cross is doing good. I'm going to keep donating money whenever there's a natural disaster, so all the big officials could keep getting paid.